Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video on percentage change. So let's start off with this example. A TV normally costs $650, but the price is discounted by 20%. How much will it now cost? Now you may be used to doing this a certain way. You may be used to finding 20% of 650 and subtracting from 650. That way is not wrong, but I want us to do a different way because we're going to move on to compound percentages and we won't be able to use the method I just mentioned. Instead, what I want us to realize is that if we discount something by 20%, if we take away 20% of the price, that means we're only paying 80% of the usual price. So to figure out this question, I could just find 80% of 650. Now remember, the way that we calculate percent of a quantity, we take the percent and change it to a fraction or a decimal and change the of to a times. So 80% is the same as 0.8. Of means times, so this is 0.8 times 650, and you can use your calculator for that. You get $520. So that's our final answer. You would pay $520. So let's look at another similar question. So the population of Canberra is approximately 420,000 now at the start of January 2020. So if the population increases by 1% this year, what will be the population at the end of the year? So I'm sure you're very smart and you can realize that this question, although it talks about population of Canberra, that doesn't matter. All that matters is we want to increase 420,000 by 1%. So increasing by 1% means we want to find 101% of the original amount. So the population at the end of the year will be 101% of what it was at the start of the year. So to find 101% of 420,000, we're going to do it very similar to what we did up here. We convert the percent into a fraction or a decimal. So to convert 101% to a decimal, it would be 1.01. Remember, if you're unsure, you start with the decimal point and move it 2 spots to the left. You divide the percent by 100 to get the decimal. So 101% is the same as 1.01. Of means times. So all we're going to do is this calculation here. So the answer we should get is 424,200. So the population's gone up by 4,200. So here we're just finding in both cases the percent of a quantity, and it turns out there are some convenient formula so we don't have to write all of these steps. So if we want to increase an amount by R%, we just multiply that amount by 1 plus the percentage over 100. And the formula if we want to decrease an amount by R% is very similar. We multiply by 1 minus the percentage over 100. So in this first example, we were decreasing. So what we did was we took 650 and we times by 1 minus 20 over 100, which is 0.8. We just took 650 and multiplied by 0.8. Similarly, in the second example, we wanted to increase by 1%. So what we did was we took 420,000 and multiplied by 1 plus 1 over 100 because it increased by 1%. And 1 plus 1 over 100 gives us 1.01. All right, let's look at another couple of examples. All right, let's look at these questions here. Last year, I earned $110,000. If my salary increases by 102% this year, how much will I earn? So remember, when we're increasing, we want to take our amount and times by 1 plus percentage over 100. So in this case, we want to take our original amount, which is $110,000, and times by 1 plus R, the percent is 102, over 100, and all you need to do is put that in your calculator, and so you should get 222,200. So let's just have a think. Is that right? Well, if my salary is 110,000, increases by just over 100%, that means it doubles plus a little bit. And that's sort of what we have here. This is a bit more than double that. So whenever you increase something by 100%, you double it. So we know we're on the right track. So let's do the next example. Population of a town, 30,000, and it decreases by 2.5% this year. And we want to know what will be the population next year. So this time we're decreasing. So when we're decreasing, we times by 1 minus r over 100. So all we're going to do here is take our original amount of 30,000 times by 1 minus, so the percent is 2.5 over 100. And you can put it in your calculator exactly like that, and you get 29,250. That will be the population next year. All right, just one more thing we need to do. That's finding the original amount. So let's look at this question here. The price of a cologne was discounted by 20% and now costs $183.20. What was its original price? So please don't get confused here. This is a different question than the ones we've been doing. So why is that? This isn't saying the price was $183.20 and is now 20% off. What it's saying is it used to cost some amount that we don't know. We don't know its original price. Then it was discounted by 20%, and that left $183.20. What makes this different is we are trying to find the original amount. In all of the other examples I've done in this video, we already knew the original amount. On the previous slide, we knew the original population of the town and my original salary. Here we don't know the original price. So remember, when we knew the original amount, we always ended up multiplying either by 1 plus r over 100 if it was increasing, or 1 minus r over 100 if decreasing. But when we don't know the original amount, when we're trying to find the original amount, instead of multiplying, we're going to divide. So what does that mean here? Well, you know that when I discount something by 20%, it means we're only paying 80% of the original price. So what we're doing here is we're saying 80% of some number gives me 183.20, and I want to find out what this number is. So we could, of course, just call this number x. You know how to solve an equation like this. To get x by itself, we just divide by 0.8. The way you undo timesing 0.8 is dividing 0.8. So then I'm just left with x is equal to 183.20 divided by 0.8. I've divided each side of this equation by 0.8. So you can just put this straight on your calculator. It's tricky to do in your head. You get the answer 229. So that was the original amount. So what actually happened here was the price was $229, it was discounted by 20%, and now costs $183.20. So rather than setting up our equation like this, we could have just divided quicker. We could have just said the original price, I'll just call OP, just the price it is now divided by 1 minus 20 over 100, and you'd get the same answer. So how did I know that it would be 1 minus 20 over 100? Because this question's involving discounting. We have decreased the original price by 20%. So remember, when we're decreasing, it's 1 minus r over 100. The only difference here is because we're finding the original amount, we don't times by 1 plus or 1 minus r over 100, but we divide by 1 minus r over 100. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.